sometimes I look back on these pictures and I like cannot believe what my body went through. This is when I was pregnant with the twins. I didn't gain as much weight with the twins as I did with Bodhi, but my body was definitely stretched out to the max and it got pretty uncomfortable at the end. I took my twins full term, so they came out almost at 38 weeks. And I was pretty large and uncomfortable at the end. I did work out until about 26 weeks when finally my abdominals tore. And when your abdominals tear, you don't really have any back support, and my back was killing me. And then I said to the doctor, why does my stomach still look like I'm pregnant? And he said, those are your organs. Everything is just falling forward. You have no core. And so I ended up breastfeeding the twins for about 5 months, and then I did get my core repaired. And I did get right back into working out, and this is, you know, when my grind started, and this is a year later from having twins, and then finally getting myself back in shape. I gave birth to the twins May 25th, and then the following summer I competed. I was 210 in this photo, and the following summer I was on stage at 123. I was working pretty hard, 3 kids. I went through the prep being all natural, and it took me a lot of work. This is a photo of me getting out to the park. I had a double snap and go. Bodhi was in preschool at the time, he was 3, and I would drop him at preschool, and then I'd go to the park and I'd put on my running shoes and I'd put the babies in their strollers and they would sleep, and I would just walk for miles and miles and miles. And it kept them asleep in the fresh air. I was living in New Jersey. I have pictures all through the years of where my body has been and the progress I've gone through, and every week I would take pictures. I've been really big into that. This was the first show I did after having twins. And like I said, I was beat by a girl who looked phenomenal, but was definitely half my age. And here I was before going out onto stage. I had my spray tan, and I was saying goodbye to the babies before heading off to my competition. My mom is my #1 motivator, she's my mentor, my inspiration, my biggest support. She's phenomenal and obviously has kept in phenomenal shape. She was definitely a role model to me growing up. And my favorite thing to do with my mom is to laugh. Here we are together, and that pretty much sums up my mom and I. That's our relationship right there. So much fun. We love each other, best friends. She is my best friend in the world. I don't know what I would do without my mom. She's everything to me. There's one of my first trainers. My best friend since kindergarten. I've kept a lot of really solid, good people in my life through the years, and I'm really grateful for that. Jay from Metabolic Nutrition used this on the cover of his website, and I was one of his heroes because this was me a year after giving birth to twins, and Jay was pretty impressed by my story. But this is when I started taking photos, because I just felt like having these photos just meant so much more to me than having a trophy. And this was actually a photo that I used on my first Flex Flavor box. This was on Razzmatazz. And this is when I was a lot blonder too. I did a lot of documenting what I was doing. I took videos of lifting. This was how I would eat. If I went out to a Chinese restaurant, this is how I would eat. I would bring a measuring cup in my purse, And if I knew I had to have half a cup of rice, I would order my chicken and my broccoli, and then I would take the scoop out and still, because I never wanted to not make it work. I didn't want to restrict and say, oh, I can't go out to eat, but I would say, okay, if I go out to eat, this is a place I need to go, and I'd find a way, I'd find something on the menu that I could eat that would fit into my diet, my goals, and then I would make it work. So that's an example of how I would eat out in a restaurant. A lot of times, this is an example of how I'd eat at home. I'd saute vegetables. My favorite fish is sea bass. These are shots of when we started developing angel food cake. And this was back in 2014, but it took us 2 years to develop the protein. So this was, we were already well into the process, and I would go to the lab and I would rip apart the labels of all the proteins on the market, what the best thing I liked about them, the worst thing about them, what I wanted, how I wanted the protein to function, and I would just go into the lab and we would taste and taste and taste, and I would bring the kids, and as you can see, little Bijou was all of probably about 2 years old, and I would have my kids taste it, and if my kids wouldn't drink it, or if they thought that it tasted like a protein, but here we were in the lab working, I'd bring the kids, and here's Bijou asking for more. So I was like, okay, if my 2-year-old is asking for more, we are definitely on to something. And we did a lot of tasting, and then after we would do the tasting, I would have other people come in and taste the product, and if they had a smile on their face like my brother and they liked it, I knew we were onto something. If they were like, this is disgusting, I would then take it home and I would fluff it in my blender, and I would see how it would fluff. Would it turn into ice cream? Could we bake with it? And I'd bring the samples, and I have 3 different versions. I would make pancakes.
To make our pancake.
And there would be a pancake, and then if it functioned really well in the blender, but also on the stove, I would know that we were on to a good formula, and if it was really super fluffy and delicious, we would just do a lot of testing. This is in the factory. Bijou would come with me to work, and we would go in there and work in the lab. Bijou would walk through the factory. So this has really been a family project. So I did a lot of, obviously a lot of versions, a lot of tasting, flex flavors as well. And then obviously this was the design of the tub. Do not start the same, but we used a lot of proteins that we would compare. And then we did a lot of A, B, C testing where we would, finally I'd pick the one that I loved, and then I would compare them to other vanillas on the market. Or, there's no angel food cake, but, and then we would see if everybody chose Devotion. This was the first tub of Devotion design. And that did not see the light of day. So this has really been a family project. It's really been a brand that my kids have grown up eating, tasting, being a part of. They can pitch the brand harder than anybody. This photo shoot basically sums up my kids' personality and how we all are. If you see Bodhi up there. They know Devotion inside and out. And I'm proud of that. I love that they've been a part of it.